Oh, okay, that's good.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well, how are you?
Good. What can I get for you?
Can I do 2 of the cheesy Gordita crunches with the Doritos Locos shell, the nacho cheese shell? Can I also get 2 chili cheese burritos? 2 of them, please.
2 of them?
Yep. And 2 crunchy tacos, and that will be all, I promise.
Like any sauce package?
Yep, can I do hot and fire, please?
Total was $15.74.
Yay. Thanks so much. Have a good one. How do you prepare the brisket? How do you make the queso? Where do you get your tortillas from? How do you make the guasacaca? What's salsa macha? What is the outside shell made of? Hi, I'm Avishar Barua. The only thing I like more than... Hi, I'm Avishar Barua, and the only thing I like eating... Hi, I'm Avishar Barua. Hi, I'm Avishar Barua. The only thing I like more than ordering and eating Taco Bell at 1:30 is eating the exact same Taco Bell at 10:30 in the morning. This is how we make our cheesy brisket crunch. Okay, we're here making paratha today. It's a traditional recipe that we use for the outside of the brisket crunch. It's one of the things that I grew up eating a lot, and one of the recipes that we like. We learned it from the source. My mom, she's making it right now.
2 cups.
It's 2 cups. At the restaurant, we use a scale for everything. Here, we use this. That's what we have.
Half cup.
Half teaspoon. Is that much salt?
Teaspoon of sugar. 1 teaspoon of sugar.
Half teaspoon of sugar.
Okay, mix well. Need warm water.
It's like room temperature tap water.
Now, একটু করে little flour.
I'm gonna reserve some flour on the side for when we're rolling it out. This is how you write flour in Bengali. Using all-purpose flour. If you use bread flour, it'll get a little tougher. If you use cake flour, it'll get a little bit softer. So we just use standard household all-purpose flour. We don't use a stand mixer, we use the hand mixer because when you put your hand in it, you can actually get a feel for the dough. So the only way you can really make this properly every time, due to the hydration of the air, moisture in the air, and the hydration of the water, the flour, is just to kind of feel it. You'll know when it's done by how it feels. And so you use exactly that much water. Precise measurement.
Good exercise for arm. Maybe 1 teaspoon of oil.
Kind of oil? Do you have an oil?
Any kind of oil.
Any oil.
Okay, let's set for
10 to 15 minutes.
10 minutes. Wait.
Oop. So it's been about 5 minutes. You can see the dough's gotten a lot softer, turned into an actual dough. It was a little shaggy before, but now it's come together. These are 83, so it's 85 gram portions for ones that'll come out pretty big. So. This is a ghee. When we make it all, we buy it once and then save the jar and make it and put it back in here over and over again. You'll see we don't have any quart containers or cameras here. It's all this what we have on hand. cook it very, very slowly so it gets a nice roasty flavor. If you made it properly, you should be able to leave it at room temperature. That'll be another video. Here we're brushing it with the ghee. So this is going to create the lamination. It's an interesting technique. Normally in most laminated doughs in Western culture, you put a piece of butter, then you fold it, and you fold it over again, and fold it over again. This we're going to do one turn, which will be able to laminate the entire dough. You'll see a really cool technique. I haven't seen this anywhere else. So this flour is also very important. Do not forget to put the flour on, otherwise you're not going to get different layers. It'll just be one fat layer.
Okay, it's done. Then
So when the restaurant first opened, Abishar's mom Joya came in and taught us how to make paratha the right way. And we used to make it by hand, sometimes even to order. It was hard to keep up. We had everybody, all hands on deck, rolling paratha all the time. Over the past couple of years, we figured out how to be more productive. Some of that was finding the right people, and some of it was finding ways to use machines to help instead of doing every little step by hand. And so now we are much more efficient. Another change that we've made is Abishar loves Doritos Locos. So we found a way to change both the color and the flavor of our paradas so that it's a little bit more like it's going to satisfy those cravings.
This is the part where we try a voiceover. Clearly the only thing I like more than being on camera is listening to the sound of my own voice. This obviously has nothing to do with putting on a microphone backwards and the resultant soundtrack sounding like a muffled interrogation tape. I learned about brisket and how I wanted to cook it by watching many videos about Texas barbecue and some of the techniques employed by the proprietors of the famous establishments. We studiously took notes via video, scored articles, the ins and outs of all Texas-style brisket. We learned a couple things along the process. Every place that we saw kept it simple. All they did is find some good brisket, salt and pepper, post oak, and a big chunk of engaged yet disengaged thyme. Clearly we learned our lesson, and we created a simple process which involves using primer Wagyu brisket, thorough trimming, a 23-ingredient rub, an overnight cure, bourbon and oak barrel smoke, separating muscles, 2 days in a water bath. After we get done cooking the brisket sous vide, we're going to let it chill thoroughly. Once it's properly chilled, we will use a knife to remove any excess fat, leaving less than 1/8 of an inch on, and then we're going to cut it into a dice. All right, we're here to talk about our shredded smoked cheddar with Jacob, our sous chef, who's going to walk you through the process. Like I said, every single thing we do kind of has rhyme and reason behind it. He knows more than everyone else that we go through this just for your tacos. So let's go into it.
All right, so we have a machine here. We call it the Robocoup. That's the brand, but you can also use a household food processor to do the same thing. We also have some smoked cheddar, large blocks. What we're going to do is turn the machine on. Then we're going to take a piece of cheddar, drop it into the chute, and apply a firm pressure. One of the most important steps in making the cheesy brisket crunch, because without the cheese, it's only a brisket crunch. There's no cheesy section. We do the same process with the pepper jack, which I will show you how to make the queso later.
So notice the way that he's doing it. You get nice long strands of cheese. This is very important because the people that we're trying to emulate also have nice long strands of cheese. If you don't put the proper amount of pressure in, you can get mush or squares of cheese, and that is not what we're after. All right, we're back here to talk about our queso. This is one of the most important parts of the brisket crunch to me. Pepper jack cheese is something that I grew up eating a lot. Take a little cheese plate and slice it and serve it with a name brand cracker. That was kind of the childhood snack that we'd have all the time, so I wanted to find a way to incorporate it. Luckily, there's a cool manufacturer of cheese in Ohio called Middlefield. We use their smoked cheddar for the topping, as you saw, and we use their pepper jack cheese for our queso. The queso is going to be what holds the outside and the inside together, similar to a cheesy brisket crunch where they have a cheese sauce that will hold the outside to the inside. Jacob's here to show us how it goes through. It's kind of a cool process, and you can use it for any other cheese that you like.
All right, so in order for us to make our queso, we're gonna take cold water here and some sodium citrate. Okay, the sodium citrate is a salt that we use in order to make the pepper jack more melty and more liquidy in order to glue the two layers together. So we're gonna whisk this into the cold water. It's important to whisk this in while it's cold so that it dissolves fully before heating and that you don't overheat the cheese while you're melting it in. After this is dissolved completely, I'm going to turn the pot on, bring this up to a boil, and then what we're going to do is turn it off and slowly incorporate the cheese. So now our water is at a boil and the cheese is shredded, so I'm going to show you how to blend the cheese into queso.
Yep. So if you're at home, you probably have one of these guys wondering what it's best for. This is a good application for that. But
I prefer the one off my bass boat. We're going to put it in here and then take a handful at a time and slowly blend it in. It's also important to turn off the heat at this point. So once it's all blended in and smooth, you're going to have a nice melty queso. And the most important thing is to make sure you taste test it.
We have these nice fried corn tortillas to give it a taste. But you can also do this technique with any other cheese that you like to get a similar result. So if you want to have a melty brie or a melty blue cheese, same thing. If you wanted to make a fondue, you could replace the water with wine. Or if you like beer and cheddar, you can do beer and cheddar cheese, and you'll have a beer cheddar dip. So, multi-uses.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes?
Can you, how do you say, is it tortilla? What would you call cookies? Do they make the tortillas? What do you call it in Spanish?
Tortillas.
Yeah, I know tortilla, but a place that makes tortillas. What are they called?
Tortillera.
Tortillera?
Yes.
Tortillera. Okay.
Sí.
Okay.
Or you can tell the impresora de tortilla.
Impresora de tortilla? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. I'm gonna get one of those too. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Going to Coquis Tortilleria? Tortilleria? The tortilla factory in the hilltop in Columbus, Ohio. We're gonna go pick up some corn tortillas for the inside of our brisket crunch. The crispy corn tortilla is one of the most important parts of this dish to add the layer of texture. It's almost based as like a hard taco with another hard taco on the outside. To get the perfect tortilla, we tried to make ours from scratch. However, the process is very long. We use very specialized equipment, including a nixtamalization machine and a wet grinder, which would have cost us over $10,000. So instead, we decided to look to the best, and we have a factory right here. We have a pretty good Mexican population, and we want to support them as much as we can. So we get our tortillas from them. So since day one, we've always used Coquis tortillas because they're local and they've done a very, very good job. We tried making our own and it did not turn out very well. We even actually used them to nixtamalize our corn for a little bit, and it just ended up being too much work. We figured if we have someone that can do it sound better than us, why don't we just support them? We can get some background about the business.
Yeah, my dad started the business in 2001, my mom and my dad. My dad has been in the tortilla industry for almost 50 years. So he started out fixing big machinery, like tractors and things like that. And then when he came to Texas, he started working in the tortilla industry, right away fixing large machines.
Okay.
So it has taken him many, many years to gather together machines, to get, you know, all of the experience to be able to have his own tortilla factory. So they started the tortilla factory in 2001, and, you know, it grew from there.
What was Columbus the reason for it? Why did you choose Columbus or the reason city, or?
Well, they looked at a lot of different places. We were in Detroit.
Okay.
So they looked at a lot of different places and tried to see, you know, where the tortilla factories around here were located. And they saw that Columbus didn't have a tortilla factory, and there was a large need for Mexican food products. At that time, there weren't a lot of stores.
For sure, yeah.
There weren't, you know, a lot of places. So they decided that this was going to be where they were going to sell.
How do you like the city?
I love the city. The city's wonderful. You can find everything in Columbus.
Yeah,
So I'm happy to be here. Yeah.
We're happy that you're here for us. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've picked up our tortillas. Now we're going to go find our other source of inspiration, the guasacaca sauce, or they call it the spicy cilantro sauce, over at El Paso. It's a restaurant that we visited by accident one day, and we couldn't get over the sauce, so we had to decide of a way to recreate it or discover how they made it. Of course, they won't give us the recipe, so we'll make our own, but we figured we'd try the original first. I'm going to talk about the guasacaca sauce. So Taco Bell used to have my favorite sauce, which was the salsa verde, and I used to do salsa verde and fire sauce. And we've gone through the salsa macha, which is our equivalent of the fire sauce. We really wanted to have a green sauce that's really punchy and goes well with smoked and heavy meats. So we have the guasacaca sauce, or as I call it, the cilantro sauce from El Paso, one of our friends in Columbus. We want to kind of figure out how we get this salsa, the consistency and the flavor. It's very good on beef and pork and chicken and almost everything. And we were wondering what makes the sauce so awesome. We try and analyze by taste. This one's got a little bit of heat. It's got plenty of herbs in it. You can tell there's definitely parsley, probably some cilantro as well. Being that it's called cilantro sauce, probably a lot of cilantro. It's creamy, and that could be either from avocado, or it could be from mayonnaise, or it could be from both. And there's just a little bit of acidity, so I imagine they maybe squeeze a little bit of lime and put some chili in here. We're going to do our version of this and see how it compares. All right, and this is how we make it. This is Blaine. He's actually been making for a long time now. If you try it from a restaurant, this is going to be the person who's made your sauce.
Hi, I'm Blaine, and today we're going to make some guasacaca. I am the resident GM cook / cheesy brisket crunch architect, so let's get into this. First we're going to start out. I have prepped some roughly chopped garlic and some serrano peppers. We are going to add that to our Vitamix here.
Did you seed those, or are they?
They are seeded.
Why do we seed them?
We seed them because the seeds carry a lot of the heat that you're going to get. So you're going to get more of the serrano flavor, and it's not going to burn you quite as much.
There we go.
So we're going to add the garlic. In goes the serrano peppers that we have seeded beforehand. For this mixture, we are going to add 110 grams of freshly squeezed lime juice. Then we're going to put our lid on there. Turn the switch on. Make sure all of our dials are set to the off position, and then we will turn it on. Oh, maybe
Power again.
there we go. Got to make sure it's on. You want to blend this until it's smooth. And really crank it up quite a bit. Now that it is smooth, we'll remove the lid. And then here we have some rough chopped parsley. For the parsley, you generally just want to use the leaves. Make sure you get everything into the Vitamix. And then we also have some rough chopped cilantro. The cilantro, we use the stems and the leaves. All right. Put the lid back on with your tamper. You want to make sure that the lid is always on if you're using the tamper for the Vitamix. I found that out the hard way last week and had to throw away a bunch of our gremolata and start over again. So we turn this on, get it running. And again, you just want to blend this till it's smooth. You want to move kind of quickly. Leafy leafy herbs will tend to brown. Once it's at a nice smooth consistency, we will add our mayonnaise to the mixture. Here we use a combination of our two favorite mayonnaises. We have Cubie mayonnaise and Duke's mayonnaise. We're gonna add equal portions of those to this. Again, put the lid back on. Keep our tampon standby here. And we will blend this until it's smooth. Again, we want to blend this kind of quickly as to avoid any breaking in the mayonnaise. That should be good. After everything's blended in here, we have a nice smooth mixture. We will put this into a bowl. Make sure to use a spatula to get everything out. Don't want it to go to waste. And the final step in this process is to fold in our Korean chili flake. So pour it gently on top. And then we use our spatula to get everything incorporated. Alright. Once the chili flakes are incorporated, we are then going to salt to taste. When you're done, just give it a taste. And that is our guacamole.
This is in comparison to what we came against. When you refrigerate this, it'll take a little bit more, so no worries there. We do like to put it right on top of the meat. It's just in the final process, so everything is in specific consistency for layers. There's a little bit chunkier, more on the mayonnaise side. Ours is actually a little more acidic, I would say, due to the lime juice and the chili. Each of them have their own different applications. They're both delicious.
Cheers.
You get that shit out of the way?
Huh?
You ready? Ready? Okay, 3. All right. We're back here, and we're going to talk about the lettuce. We do not overlook any part of the process, so we wanted to make sure we make everything as much of a pain in the ass as possible. Blaine can attest to that, so we're going to go back to Blaine and talk about how we do the iceberg lettuce for the Cheesy Biscuit Crunch.
Hi, it's me again. I'm Blaine, resident GM cook and shaped slicer of lettuce. Here I have your standard run-of-the-mill head of iceberg lettuce. You find it at grocery stores everywhere. First thing you want to do, you want to kind of go around the outside, remove any parts that you wouldn't want to eat, because if you don't want to eat it, I don't want to eat it, I don't think anyone else wants to eat it. And then it's important to remove this heart. So you can either take your sharpest Japanese chef's knife, slice it vertically, and gently cut out the heart, or you can smash it, and rip it out a la Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom. Then take your knife, cut it in half, then now we're ready for the slicer. Pull this guard up. It's very important to keep this guard in place. You don't want a bloodbath on your hands. It's a dangerous piece of equipment, but it is very useful. Slice the lettuce gently. You want to slice it thin, evenly, applying even pressure throughout. What we're looking for are these nice fine shreds of lettuce. If you're anything like me, these will look familiar. I usually can't wait to eat my Taco Bell, so I eat it in the parking lot, and then you find these all over your car the next day, and you'll never get them. So we take these, we join their friends here. After we slice them, we cover them with some ice cold water to sort of shock the lettuce back into a crispier texture. Cool. We'll let that soak about 10 minutes. You'll see an increase in volume, and then we'll give it a spin in our salad spinner, and then it's ready for your tacos.
All right, so we're gonna be making our salsa matcha. This is inspired by, we would say, the fire sauce from Taco Bell. It's got a little bit of chipotle, some smokiness, some sweetness, some sourness. Think of it like a Mexican version of a buffalo sauce with a little bit of sweetness in the back. So we start with these ingredients here. We have canola oil, which is actually our chili oil in this case. We have sesame seeds, peanuts, raw is the best. You can use roasted if you have them, and garlic. Basically, we're going to roast these guys off in the oil. Almost fry them a little bit to get them nice and nutty. And then after that's done, we just blend the rest of the ingredients. So get the heat going. Make sure they're all under oil. If you need to add a little bit more oil to make this work, you can. This seems like the correct amount. When you're using canola oil, it's going to be a little bit easier for you because when you have canola oil, the oil is clear, so the roasting will be more apparent. If you're using chili oil, be careful as the color is affected by the color of the oil. Get that nice and coated. We go on. The rest of our ingredients that you'll see later are chili crisp, which is the byproduct of us making our chili oil, honey, apple cider vinegar, salt, chipotle chilies and adobo. You can either make them or buy them. The canned versions are just fine. And then 100% seaweed extract, which we also call MSG. This is optional, of course, but we do like to use it in this case. It adds a nice little punch of flavor at the end. If you don't want to use this, you can also use mushroom powder, or you can use Torula yeast powder. There's many alternatives. We don't see too much of a problem with using it. Just a quick note to make sure that when we're doing this process that we don't leave it alone. We don't want to burn any of these things, and as you know, garlic has a tendency to burn. So do nuts and seeds, and when they do, they get a little bit of an acrid flavor. We're really trying to avoid that in this case. We really want to be cognizant of the temperature of this. So we see we're getting closer and closer. The nuts are starting to darken, the peanuts are starting to get there, garlic is getting there. You don't need to do this over high heat or medium high. You can do it over medium heat and just go slowly. Make sure you just get it roasted consistently. That's the main thing. Oil is a great insulator, so it's going to keep this all going at the same temperature. So now this is done, we can do the rest. So be very careful with this. I recommend putting this in the bottom of the blender and make sure your blender is heat resistant. You can let it cool off, no issue. We are just going to go right into it. Then we go with the rest of our ingredients. Chili crisp. You can use any dried chilies in this as well. If you're going to use dried chilies, go ahead and roast it with the spices. You don't want to burn them either. Chipotles and adobo. Got our special salt, regular salt, apple cider vinegar. Save a little bit of that. Watch. This is the honey. Sometimes it's difficult to get all the honey out, so that's why I save this. Put it right in there like that. It'll help dissolve it. Like so. Trick my mom taught me. Cool. Here we go on, and I always caution against two things. Blending is inherently dangerous, so make sure you always have the cap on. Secondarily, if you're blending things that are hot, be even more careful. I do not recommend the plug for the hole if you're using this style of blender because you can build up steam and it can kind of explode in your hands, which is very painful. So what I would do is put it on like this. I'll put a lid on, and we'll go once we turn it on. Oh, secondarily, if you ever work in a restaurant, make sure your friends, see, we have the sabotage. They put it on high and they leave it on 10. You turn it on and you get a face full of oil. Also plug it in, it's a good idea. We want this to be almost creamy in consistency. The peanuts are going to act as kind of the thickening agent for them, so it should be a very good salsa this way. As you can see, there's steam up here, so you want to be very careful. If we had a towel up here like such, the steam will go through the towel. It won't go up and build up, so nice. Still be mindful. Top open. You go for the taste test, and if you're like me and you always have a problem figuring out what spoon you use for what, and you don't know how to taste, and you don't want to use your fingers, which is understandable, you also have the back side of the spoon. So go on there, put it on your hand. It's right on. It's exactly what we want to get. It's sweet, sour, salty, spicy, and nutty at the same time. One of the best sauces. You can put this on anything. You can put it on chicken wings, it'd be good too. Gosh.